brushing up and learning new skills so that we can stay relevant amid disruptive times.
That's the goal of our labour movement. This has been partnering with the government to start upgrading and retraining programs for our workers. But with stronger economic headwinds and a restructuring economy, what else is being done to ensure that both our young and our older workers remain relevant and are able to work for as long as they can?
Joining us in studio to take stock of the labour movement's progress on these fronts is Mr. Chee Meng, Minister in the Prime Minister's Office and Secretary General of the National Trades Union Congress, or NTUC.
Minister, good evening, and thank you for making time to join us today.
Good evening, sir.
Susan, Lance.
The economic headwinds are getting much stronger, and we're all feeling that already. And there are fears of negative growth, even an impending technical recession. We will likely see a tighter employment market. What worries the NTUC in a scenario, and how are you preparing for this?
Well, workers are worried, and therefore NTUC should be worried too. Looking at the challenges ahead, well, these are not challenges that are new to us. We have dealt with economic downturns in the past, whether it's 97, whether it's 2001, 2008, the most severe. Well, we have weathered through these downturns, and we have tested plans, and we have different measures to mitigate whatever that may come. So one of the most instinctive things that companies would do is really to cut jobs, to save costs. But often this is actually not good for the companies and obviously not good for the workers. Because when there's an upturn, many a times the companies don't have the skilled workers to catch that momentum of the upturn. So what NTUC does is that we encourage companies, partner them to actually cut costs by saving jobs. How would this benefit our workers? Obviously it would, but we will partner the companies to persuade workers, sometimes even going down to wage freezes or wage cuts. But at the same time, we get our companies to invest, to reskill our workers, so that when there's an upturn, they have the necessary skills to catch the wave. In this way, we can work with companies, government, grants, and so forth to actually help our workers weather through the storm.
You've also assured that the labour movement will help workers tackle the challenges that lie ahead and will stay representative and relevant to workers by reinventing its core capabilities, membership base and social enterprises. Could you, Minister, expand on it a bit more for us, please?
Oh, yes, indeed. We are doing actually many things to stay representative and relevant. One of the key strategies that we are doing is to exploit digital technologies. It is not just for us to encourage companies to do so, we are doing it ourselves. Take one relevant example, NTUC Fair Price, the traditional supermarket. We are actually looking to reinvent ourselves using digital technologies. You may not have heard of this yet, Scan to Go. Essentially, it is giving our customer a handheld device, check out while you shop. And on top of this convenience, you actually get product information, price comparison, savings that actually make the experience more fun, more convenient. And riding on newer digital technologies, we want to actually remove the handheld device and use your smartphone, getting it into an app, getting it into the commonplace of the society, moving to a smart nation. Well, we are reinventing ourselves through some of these possibilities. Another area that we are reinventing our core capability is the training arm that we have set up. As we were chatting before the program,
Yes.
Reskilling, upskilling is going to be a way of life in the foreseeable future. Upping our capabilities through our NTUC Learning Hub, partnering with our MOE, IHLs, all the different strategies of reinventing ourselves, both in the physical world and in the digital space. Well, we have lots to do to stay relevant and representative.
We certainly do have lots to do. And you're with us here on Singapore Today on CNA938. We're speaking with Mr. Chee Meng, who is Minister in the Prime Minister's Office and the Secretary General of the National Trades Union Congress. Now, Minister, how has the NTUC been encouraging companies to seize the opportunities that's been offered by disruptive technologies? We need to transform ourselves, and you've said that. We need to learn new skills, we need to do things differently. So we need to transform, and companies also need to transform.
Yes.
So how can companies transform themselves to the Industry 4.0 standards and then stay competitive?
Well, actually, we have gone one step beyond encouraging. We have taken an initiative to set up company training committees where we can institutionalize the training aspects of reskilling for the benefit of the company and the workers. I don't think you'll be surprised that some companies out in the market may not really know what technologies to employ to solve their problems. They may not know where to get those technologies and how to use those technologies. And I'm not just referring to SMEs. I have a friend who is a CEO of an MNC. He told me his CEO journey. Well, this company obviously knew what technology to solve their problem. They knew where to get it. In fact, he paid $100 million to redo his own production lines. But in the midst of upgrading his facilities, he realized that they don't know how to use it. So with the company training committees, essentially, where we need to, we'll step in to help the companies. But very importantly, when it comes to technologies, workers are afraid that technologies will displace them, take away their jobs. So shifting that mindset is important. So when I talk to companies and workers, I use a simple term called the 3 A's. Well, the CTCs will help our companies and our workers accept the new technologies so that they can start shifting their mindsets, looking at technology as a friend, as an enabler. Very important and really the first key move to shift your mindset. Importantly, the second A is then help the companies and workers adopt those technologies to make them real, how to improve the production line if you're a manufacturer, to actually up your competitiveness and productivity. How do the workers adopt those technologies even in your studio? Getting new technologies to make broadcasts livelier, smoother, so on and so forth. And ultimately, the third A is actually actualizing the value capture, where it's a win-win for both the companies and our workers, so that we have better profits, our workers can have better wages, better welfare, and importantly, in this program that we are talking about the future, better work prospects for all of us.
Do you see Singaporeans embracing this with a can-do attitude?
I do see that, but importantly, I must say that we don't just agree with what we are saying, but importantly, to act on it. Because many a times I would chat with my workers and they would agree with me. Lifelong learning is essential. But when I ask, who has taken upgrading course in the last 12 months, last 24 months? Well, the show of hands dropped dramatically. So we must accept, change our minds, but start taking the first step to act upon it. Very important.
So how do we ensure that all workers will go for training and reskill and upskill?
Well, like I said, when we change our mindset, act upon it. When we act upon it, don't do it by yourself. Look at the simple word ACT, A-C-T. Well, take the first step, do something. The second step, C, communicate with your friends. Tell them what are the useful things that you have gone on, or some causes that may not be so useful, so that you can actually generate that awareness and encourage each other to actually go on learning journeys, get onto causes. And the last one, T, I would say that team up. Don't go on this journey alone, where you have good friends, 2 or 3 of you. Well, it's a long journey.
Yes.
Get
It
the
is.
mutual support, show each other the mutual care, and get onto the learning possibilities that government is helping with grants, NTUC is helping with grants. And team up, not necessarily just with friends, Well, you can team up with the labor movement. You can team up with NTUC, join us. We have different grants for workers. We have different capabilities and relationship with institutions that can actually get us moving in this journey.
And you're so right, Minister, that it is the mindset we're talking about, isn't it? At the end of the day, I think workers do want to do all the things you've just said. We do accept that there is change. We do accept that there will be disruptions to our lives, to the economy, to the workplace. And teaming up with friends, yes, that's very important. I know we need to do that. But I think we need stories to be told. We need companies who've had workers do this, maybe step forward and share their stories.
Well, indeed we have, Susan. If you look at SMRT, we just signed a company training committee agreement with them maybe in March. Today, we are moving our train operators, staff, onto customized programs for SMRT so that they can get onto the skills future for a digital workplace, customized into the context of running trains. It is very, very encouraging to see people that were very skeptical of technology enjoying themselves in a classroom of maybe 20, 25. And I went to Kepo a bit and joined the class for a couple of hours. Well, you can see the initial trepidation. But as you get along, you learn what the possibilities. It's not so scary.
It's always taking that first step, isn't it?
Yes. So that's why I say act upon it, encourage each other to take the first plunge, go on that journey and discover for yourself that it is not as difficult.
Do you reckon that it is always the mid-career workers or the older workers who are a bit hesitant?
Well, I would say the older workers could be a bit more hesitant, but with some encouragement, they can get onto the bandwagon.
Yeah, I like that whole idea. You can do it as a team.
That's
go
right.
together and you can support each other as
Look
well
at
as
us.
you.
Yeah, I can tell
As
you
you
another
go
very
forward.
encouraging story.
Yes, please.
I brought some union leaders on a retreat, and we wanted to get them to act out their learning. So we gave them a robotic set. And you must understand, union leaders are usually 45, 50, 60. They look at the robot, Secgen, you can't be serious. I've never assembled anything like this, and you want me to program it as well. But with teamwork, a little bit of coaching, within 90 minutes, they would form their own robot. They can do basic programming. First step. Very fun. And that's where I came up with the term ACT, to get them on the road. And I hope that through these stories, it is more commonplace. It will create a more common drive towards skills future, getting our workers to do what you have done in upskilling, reskilling as journalists.
Yeah, I mean, we've had to upskill, reskill, learn new skills along the way in order to not just keep up, but to stay ahead. And staying ahead is one thing. And I'm sure you've got workers also thinking that with disruption, with technology, with all of these changes in place, they must be thinking, you know what, there could be loss of jobs as well. So how is NTUC wanting to tackle, help and encourage workers who are thinking like that?
Well, first off, in any disruption, there will be loss of jobs, but there will be creation of better jobs. Look at our short history as Singapore. My dad is a SME owner in the past, textile industry. Today, no signs left at all of a major industry in Singapore in the 70s, 80s. Where did all the workers go? They went on to better jobs, higher paying jobs. Importantly, they actually have to learn new skills beyond being good with their hands on sewing T-shirts and so on and so forth. We went on to higher value economy, higher value adding jobs, and we, over time, gotten a better economy, better jobs for Singapore. So while we understand there'll be loss of jobs, look on the bright side. Know that there are challenges, know that there are great opportunities as well. And as Lan said in the beginning, Singapore is in a good position to exploit those opportunities because we are very well educated, very disciplined, workforce with very good attitudes.
The thing about Singapore as well is we've got great infrastructure as well. So we are highly adaptable. We can change at a moment's notice if need be. Would you agree, sir?
Of course. We have very good institutions, rule of law. We have a good security and safe security and safe, secure environment for investments. You can see the horizon, what is there, and we have actually a very good innovation index in Singapore. Where we want to move, well, we can see that we have Block 71 near here. We have the different energy from young entrepreneurs coming in to actually move society. So I think we are in a good position. Disruptive technologies are key enablers for our future economy. And we must look with optimism to seize those new opportunities that the technologies will bring for us.
I guess it's a matter of getting everyone onto the bandwagon.
Yes.
And sometimes making that first step, I think, is really the hardest thing to do.
Yes.
So we put your 3 A's together, we put your act together, and we all get our act together. Perhaps that is one way to go. Because when workers are thinking about technology and disruption, honestly, loss of jobs would be the first thing. What happens to me? Seriously. For an older worker, someone in their 50s, in their 60s, and playing with a robotics kit, that's one thing. But then how do I translate that into my job?
Yes.
How do I translate that into real life? Because I have to live my life. I
That's
have
right.
family to feed.
Yes. So the company training committees are very, very important in this aspect. Institutionalize these capabilities, scale it. So a recent example, Bakers 4.0 is a customization of Workers 4.0. My bakers, they surprise me with what they need. The first thing that came to my mind when I went to this event was how would bakers improve recipes, right? That would usually be the first thing that popped into my mind, into people's mind. But our bakers, partnering NTUC's Learning Hub, were learning about operational design so that they can run the business better. They were looking at recipe costing so that when you actually do a recipe, you will actually think about the tail end of whether it is a business possibility or is it just a home-cooked, homemade, very nice cake. So where we customize our different causes, we reduce the very, very complex space for each sector, for our workers to actually focus together with hopefully relevant expertise to zoom in on what is relevant to you, making that first step less scary, more relevant.
A lot of people are very concerned about what's happening, not just in the region, but around the world as well. They're talking about a possible technical recession coming through. There are Singaporeans, young Singaporeans, who will be joining the workforce. What advice would you offer them?
Well, I stay hungry. Singapore, being a previous education minister, we give them the best education. And in fact, we are already innovating the education system to let them apply their learning before they even go into the workplace. Many things are happening now with Mr. Ong Yi Kang in MOE continuing the work. So stay hungry, go on that lifelong journey, even when you are younger. And if I may sell some koyok, join NTUC, get us as a partner, because we have young NTUC that is all caller, whether you're rank and file or PMEs. We create networks for you to know different things. We get expert advice in to talk to you about career possibilities, career coaching, just to add that learning to top up on short dosages. Rather than wait 10 years and go learning again, get involved in some of this. Don't do it alone. Team up with somebody.
Yeah, it's not just the small steps, but I think small, constant steps to do
Yes.
it, rather than small step, take a huge 10-year break. Then I think even for me, it'd be scary to want to jump back into and onto that bandwagon again, isn't it?
Very, very right.
Yeah.
I would say maybe make it a habit.
Yeah, I like that. Make it a habit. You're with us here on Singapore Today on CNA938, and we're speaking with Mr. Chee Meng. He is the Minister in the Prime Minister's Office and Secretary General of the NTUC, or the National Trades Union Congress.
From the young to the old, we'd like to touch on an important topic for many of us, and that is raising the retirement age. You have been calling on more employers to voluntarily raise the retirement age of their workers beyond the statutory requirement of 62. What has the response been like, Minister?
Well, the response has been pretty decent. I wouldn't say that we have earth-shaking results. At the moment, if I can remember correctly, we have 50 plus companies that have voluntarily either raised the retirement age or the re-employment age. And the workers are very appreciative of these moves.
Has there been resistance? You asked us this question
Yes.
earlier, right?
Yes, I did.
Before we started, you asked us, Lance and I, what we thought. We said, yeah, go for it. It's cool.
Absolutely,
And
yes.
we shared with you our ages. And can I do this for you on
Of
air?
course, yes.
Okay, Lance is 56 and I'm 62. And we're very proud to say our ages, to the public, because we're still doing what we love and we're unafraid to learn new skills, and unafraid to say, I can't do this, or yes, I can do this. So talking about raising retirement age, has there been some resistance?
Well,
Any
yes.
resistance?
Yes, I mean, employers are not unfair in saying some of these things. They are worried about cost impact. And cost impact not just in the dollar sense of pay, but also health issues, perhaps, of the older workers. But importantly, they also tell me that, well, if we can train them up, like Susan, you say you're 62.
I am.
But you're updated, you are relevant, you are skillful in the things that you do.
I try to be.
So, to the employers, most of my employers are fair people. So they say that, Susan, you are productive. I pay you this X amount. You deliver that X amount of productivity. Yeah, I don't look at your age. So workers have to do our part as well. We've got to stay up to date with the relevant skills, with added skills, hopefully, so that we can be productive. And age will not really be that much of a factor if we are skillful and we keep healthy.
I guess the big question also is, would the NTUC also push for the restoration of CPF contribution rates for workers above 55 years old to not only ensure retirement adequacy, but also to encourage seniors to continue working?
Oh, yes. We have been doing that actually for quite a while, and we think that this is a good rethink of our CPF, so that indeed for aging population, how to plan for adequacy of retirement, so on and so forth. It is, I think, a necessary thing to do.
There are suggestions, and you would have heard these suggestions of raising the CPF contribution. And there has been an IPS study recently, and you have those figures, Minister, right? If a 55-year-old in 2018 can actually save $31,000 to $145,000 more if the full CPF rates were restored, then, this is the 10-year time frame from 55 to 64.
Yes.
It will then double their eventual CPF life payouts. What are the possibilities of some of these suggestions? And you would have heard these suggestions on the ground, I am sure. Challenges, can it be done? Can there be a middle ground, maybe?
I think so. As I said, our employers, our unions, and our government, we have a very good working relationship. In fact, we form a tripartite working group to look at re-employment age and retirement age. And CPF is one of those subtopics within the work group's work scope. So we can expect them to give us a formal report sometime soon.
So this is certainly something for workers to look forward to.
Yes.
Actually, not even just the senior worker, because you're looking at the younger worker continuing to work for a longer period of time.
Yes.
So people are thinking, you know what, lifespan's getting longer as well, right? We're all living longer. So even from a younger age, the younger worker in 30s and 40s are thinking, hey, you know what, I still have 20, 30, 40 years more to go. At 65, 70, I'm still fit, I'm still strong, you guys are still healthy, you can still go on. So there is a possibility for all of this. And then putting what you said right at the beginning, we have to act really get our act together, employers also need to get their act together. Let's talk about the employers. How ready are they to embrace me and Lance and the rest of us who are in this older age group?
Well, I think they're quite ready, but they have valid considerations as well. How to make sure that the business is sustainable with the different cost impacts and the different uncertainties that are impacting their business. So you got cost impact on the domestic front, you got all the different uncertainties in the geostrategic space today. So they are concerned. And I think they are not unfair in stating those concerns. So we will have to sit down, really put our concerns, our challenges on the table, and really think through these issues as tripartite partners. And I would say that in my experience in this space for the last 15 months or so, well, we have very, very collegiate relationship, but yet we speak our minds behind closed doors and argue our case. And, well, we have not failed to reach a middle ground so far.
There are some companies that have even said we are stopping any retirement age. As long as you're productive, you can work for as long as you like, as long as you are able to make a contribution. That's a good thing too, as long as, like you said as well,
Yes.
The company is happy to have you, you are still contributing, and it's a win-win situation for everyone.
Yes. Well, in Singapore, I think it's a win-win for everyone. But in some other countries, well, some retirement age is needed, where there's pension funds to think about, because I may be a laborer, and my body may not be able to sustain that kind of work rate in a different environment, let's say the coal mine. And you will still have the relevance of retirement age. So I won't completely discard the concept of retirement age. Modify it. Let older workers have the choice to continue, or if they so choose, where they become grandparents or they want to do something else, have flexible work arrangement, different levels of options, so that they can have active, contributing, productive aging.
As we're talking about restructuring the economy and the effects, we're looking towards not just this year, but next year and many more years down the road. I know you're talking about training, retraining, skilling, upskilling, reskilling, but a lot of these thoughts and comments and courses are geared towards the older worker. Can we not think about gearing it towards the younger worker and help them prepare for the future? Because sometimes we reach the future and then we go, oops, it's too late for me now.
Well, it is for all ages, actually.
But do the young people know and realize, and are you reaching out as NTUC to the younger person?
Well, it depends on how young you mean. If you mean below 35, it's a little bit more difficult.
They're not thinking yet so far in the future,
Well,
maybe, or they've just started?
Yeah, they've just started and they're well equipped. So, when you are younger, 25, coming fresh out of school, you are ready for the job, you have that learning, absorbing ability, well, they may not have to worry so much. But our courses are actually tailored across all age groups. So let me give you what we have done with taxi drivers. This taxi driver is in my age, maybe about 50, a bit undereducated. When I ask him, why don't you go on apps, booking apps, to improve your earning power? You have less empty cruising on the streets, bookings come in. He says, no, it's too difficult. I say, no, come, let's try. And he'll politely tell me, next time, Minister. It's all in my grassroots. Next time. Until one fellow grassroots leader, taxi driver, chanced upon this meeting that everyone was hungry. So he says, why don't we order food? And this gentleman was saying, yeah, let's go order food. I said, no, let's order on the phone. And it is through using a simple encouragement, ordering food, that it's not so scary to use the apps. So today, well, he's using apps, but importantly, we have also worked with ComfortDelGro and the next National Taxi Association to scale these possibilities for our taxi drivers. Not all are senior, Some are just undereducated, lacking confidence. Tailoring this Skills Future course in the digital workspace for them brings many benefits.
So it's the fear
Fear.
that's
yeah, I
stopping them.
think
The initial
exactly.
fear.
It's the fear. It's important, I guess, to have workers have a startup mentality.
Yeah.
Think like a startup. Be
Yeah.
adaptable.
Yeah.
Say, you know what, we have to move with the waves and move with the
Yeah.
times and try.
Yeah.
You know, we fail, we try again.
Yeah.
It's important to do that.
Do, start the discovery journey, do, redo, learn, relearn if you have to, but have the friends around you so that it's a fun journey.
Minister, I want to ask you about NTUC. You were
Yes.
talking about the supermarkets. I'm wondering when this smartphone app is going to be made available. Can
Well-
you maybe tell us?
Well, the Scan to Go is now in 3 of our supermarkets. The app is undergoing testing. So, akan datang. We have to wait a while and see how we can actually move it.
See, that's a good answer to your question.
Akan datang. Coming soon. Once again, we are speaking to Mr. Chee Meng, Minister in the Prime Minister's Office and Secretary General of the National Trades Union Congress.
And we've had a good conversation with you, Minister, and you've shared a lot with us, and we've had opportunity to ask you our questions. We thank you very much for answering those. And you've also, I think, cleared up some of the things maybe we were unclear about, and also the worker. You've taken us through, I suppose, the whole journey of a worker's life, and we're talking about disruptive technology, we're talking about the future, we're talking about restructuring the economy. The thing is, these are big words, and I think for the ordinary worker, they may not mean as much as to us. These words may not mean as much. Perhaps the words need to be explained, broken down a little bit, and you've helped us through some of your acronyms. I love those, the 3 A's and ACT and all of that. Perhaps easier language to help the worker along might also help them embrace this disruptive technology we're talking about. Because every time someone says that term, it's not technology that scares them, it's disruption. And
Yes.
disruption means so many things, different things to
That's
different
right.
people.
That's right.
Do you have any final comments for us, sir?
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity to
Thank
come
you
on
for
the
making
show.
time.
Well, the journey of restructuring our economy, the big words are needed to chart our strategic direction as a country forward. When DPM Heng Swee Keat talked about the industry transformation maps, these are strategic thrusts of our country moving forward. But Susan, you're absolutely right. Many workers say, I don't quite understand it. So therefore, it is really one part of NTUC to partner our government to break down the big plans into digestible parts, relevant focus for each of the worker in different sectors. Now, is it an easy journey? The answer is no. As I said, there are many things to do. Getting the mindset shift, taking personal responsibility and acting upon it, getting the team on board together, and collectively move on this journey. And if I may sum up, well, this is what the 4G leadership are really thinking about. We're not doing this alone as policymakers. We want to partner Singaporeans, partner you, Lance, Susan, to see what are the best ideas. And importantly, collectively go do it. And then in the challenges ahead, well, maybe we'll see less of challenges as capital C's, but we will see opportunities with capital O's, that we become a bit more optimistic as a people, a little bit less kiasu as a people. Well, important. Why? Because that entrepreneurial spirit, the dare to go do new things, to conquer new ground, is needed for the next phase of our country's development.
I like that, so there's a good partnership, there's support, and you reach out for opportunities. Minister, it's been a pleasure having you on Singapore Today. We were speaking to Mr. Chee Meng, Minister in the Prime Minister's Office and Secretary General of the National Trades Union Congress, or NTUC. Have a good evening, sir, and thank you once again for your time.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
very much.